return to ESPN2's exclusive coverage of the Australian Open. ESPN2, the Grand Slam Network.
And welcome back live. Just a gorgeous summer day down under, day 2 of the Australian Open 2006. Approaching sunset, what's been a very eventful day here. The fans eager to get back inside Rod Laver Arena just about a half hour after a different crowd walked out. Watching Leighton Hewitt survive in 5 tough sets. An eventful day 2. There were 9 5-setters on the men's side. And the story tonight in the women's draw, the return of Martina Hingis, 3-time Australian Open champion. She has some great memories on this court behind us. Chris Fowler and Mary Carrillo. Some heartbreak as well, but a lot of history for Martina Hingis in this place behind us, and an appropriate place for her to return to Grand Slam tennis. Yeah, it is. After 4 years at the ripe age of 25 against an opponent that's 4 years older than she is. Now, comebacks, regardless of the sport, not often defined as successful if you define success by a return to glory or great achievement. But she says, if you believe her, she's coming back for the process, the journey, and for moments like this tonight in the roar of the crowd.
Absolutely. I mean, she left the game. She was banged up. She had some foot injuries, and she had a couple of surgeries, and she was getting overwhelmed by all the power of the modern game, and she wasn't winning anymore. So she left. But you could tell that Martina Hingis still loved the game because she kept hanging around. She came down here to Australian to do Channel 7 Australian TV. She worked for us last year. She's one of those former players that still loved watching the game, talking about the game, analyzing the game, and she just decided, you know what, I still got some tennis in me.
And she decided there was a void in her life. She was doing stuff like laundry and walking the dog and commentating, boring stuff like that, right? So she wanted to get back on the court.
She wasn't, banging her clothes against a rock down by the river.
Yeah, she claimed she was doing laundry and walking the dog. That's how she was passing the years of retirement. But now, this is how we remember her more.
Well, this was the first ever major she won. She was only 16 years old. Back in '97, didn't even drop a set the first time she won it. She dropped 2 sets in '98. Then she won it again in '99, dropping just 1 set. I mean, this kid played just beautifully here. She had for a while there. She had 27 straight wins at the Australian Open because she got to the final in 2000, losing to Davenport in 2001. She also got to the final, losing to Jennifer Capriati. She was also winning the doubles here as well. She had an absolutely glorious, fabulous career, and it was just too short. And so I'm absolutely delighted. That's Vera Zvonareva ahead of her from Russia, and they've never played before, so this will be an experience for both of them. No matter what happens tonight, I'm delighted that Hingis is back.
There is a sense of mystery. What to expect from the 3-time former champion here. Zvonareva seated 30th, coming off a poor 2005 injury is a part of that. She's trying to stage her own little mini comeback in 2006. Hingis can see herself, the champions posters on the wall there.
Yeah, 3 in a row.
And this is the moment she's waited for. She's played a couple of events, minor events in 2006, but nothing approaching a Grand Slam and a walk out to this Rod Laver Arena. This is a big moment for Martina Hingis. Crowd, of course, just now coming back in here. It's too bad. The place should be full, and it would have been full if not for the lateness of the men's match. When she envisioned this moment, it wasn't with a couple thousand people, finding their seats. It was with a full house.
Well, it's filling up. It'll fill up quickly because not only is Hingis playing, but then one of their countrymen, Mark Philippoussis, plays Sebastian Grosjean after this. So this joint will be rocking. Look at her. She's looking around already.
Interesting to see the reception. She was not beloved worldwide. She was so dominant. She wasn't often the crowd favorite in her career, but I think she would be tonight.
They loved her down under, Chris, because she was such a canny player, so smart, showed amazing court craft, and these fans knew just what they were looking at when Hingis used to carve up players all over this place for so long. And she played doubles, she played mixed doubles too. They love that down here.
The introduction down.
Would you welcome from Switzerland, Martina Hingis.
There's Martina Hingis. Is she nervous, you think? I mean, does she know what to expect from herself? She lost to Justine Enardin, 6-3 and 6-3 in a tune-up event, and really didn't give Enna much trouble. And Enna is not, nearly in possession of the kind of power that some other top players that might run into her face.
No, that's true enough. But no, I think she's very aware of what she's facing. I think she understands it. And Zvonareva isn't one of the huge power hitters. So you know what? I kind of like her chances. I really think this is a winnable match. She's playing somebody, you know, who plays an awful lot of tennis, and she's obviously a seed as well as Zvonareva, but she's fragile mentally and emotionally. We've seen that so many times. I think this could get interesting.
We have seen that so many times, and that's part of the reason perhaps that Hingis wanted this setting for her comeback match. Not out of court 18, but on center court, where she'd enjoyed so much success and with as many eyes possible watching this match. A few days before her comeback, we had a chance to sit down with Martina Hingis, talk about what her goals were, what her reasons were. Is the comeback about the achievement, you know, the destination, or is it about enjoying the journey and the process of just playing?
I just really always love to play tennis. The challenge, the competition, which I really miss, the chills when you go on court and you have the stadium cheering you on. I think that's the biggest, which I was missing. And I just didn't want to have the regret telling myself, why didn't I try again when I was 25 or one of these years, because I can't give myself this question again when I'm 30. I think that's way too old.
You've talked about feeling the crowd and enjoying the competition. You haven't talked about any specific accomplishments or levels of performance that you're trying to get back to. Do you have in your mind goals like top 10, top 5, win a major, win titles?
Well, that's probably in the back of my head. That's what you're aiming for, and you want to accomplish that, but it takes a lot of patience. I believe I just really have to give myself some time, because I'm not, 16 anymore when I started out there, and everything just went kind of automatic, very easy. Winning Grand Slams, making the first steps. It's like starting over again.
You still won't tell me what your goal is.
No,
what's in the back of your mind? I'm trying to get an idea, because people see your name when they remember Grand Slam titles, and they don't know why you would come back if you thought you were going to be going out in the second or third round or being ranked in the hundreds. I mean, you must have something in your mind.
Probably that wouldn't be satisfying to me if you feel like you don't have the chance to win Grand Slams, to make the top 10, and to be able to beat the top players out there. I think that's what I'm probably aiming for, but I just really...
Are you capable of that?
Well, I hope sooner or later, but it's just every comeback is different.
How have the other players on tour treated this comeback that you've spoken to? Have they been supportive? Have they been skeptical? Is it a cold reception? What?
Well, they probably, most of the times, they don't know what to expect, so they're still all friendly.
She was kind of toying with you. That's exactly what she's going to try to do tonight against Zvonareva. Just what she did to you the other day when you were talking to her.
She was bobbing and weaving.
She was all over the place, man. She left you flat-footed.
Well, I mean, I don't know if she knows fully what she's capable of doing. I mean, there are questions about the game, the serve, the power deficit, but all that's going to be answered in a little bit in the minutes to come. Hingis and Vera Zvonareva, we come back live down under to Melbourne. Day 2 of the Australian Open. An early rise, a steady ride, a painful decline, a loss of will, a sudden goodbye, a changing game, a change of heart, a reassessment, a renewal, a return to tennis, and perhaps to the top. The comeback of Martina Hingis continues at the Australian Open next. Back live, Melbourne, Australia. Just 2 gorgeous days to begin this first Grand Slam of 2006. And the delayed night session about to get underway as fans are still filing into Rod Laver Arena after an extended men's session with Leighton Hewitt surviving in 5. Martina Hingis, her comeback Grand Slam match after about 4 years away. Could have drawn a less accomplished player. Instead, draws a seed, Vera Zvonareva, who had been inside the top 20 in her career until last year when some injuries knocked her back down. Seeded 30th there, 21 years old.
Well, she's still pretty young, but she fell out of the top 10 last year. Her best year really was a couple of years ago. 3 years ago, she got to the quarters of the French Open. She beat Venus Williams, some of you will remember, along the way, before losing to another surprise Russian that year in Paris, Petrova. She did not do well here last year, but she's done well enough here in the past. Again, the biggest single difference between these two is that Hingis' greatest weapon is her mind, and that tends to be the biggest liability with Vera Zvonareva.
Biggest liability for Hingis would have to be her serve after she played Justine Enardin. Justine said the biggest challenge adjusting to the slowness of the Hingis serve. She put some second serves in there in the 70-mile-an-hour range. Now, is that good enough against a player like Zvonareva?
This will probably be the biggest snack item that players will have for facing Hingis. They'll want to attack this serve. When she was #1 in the world, it's not like she ever had a huge serve. But she found all kinds of angles of the court. Very smart server. Every now and then she'd pork one up and give you a serve with pace, but frankly, even when she gives you her best serve now, it's a change of pace in terms of speed compared with some of the serving around her.
And one component of this comeback is how much women's tennis has changed or not changed since she retired. She didn't think it's changed that much. She thinks the same players are near the top, Davenport, the Williams sisters, Mauresmo, as when she left. But I don't know, Mary, don't you think it's become much more of a power game? There's so many more players out there hitting with so much pace that could trouble her?
Well, I think that's the big difference, and she says it too. She says that what she feels is the biggest difference in the years she's been absent is the relentlessness that so many of the players can hit that hard and that you can't relax during a rally. And what this woman needs, if she's to impose her game on her opponents, is time to decide, time to choose her options, time to find the great angles. When Monica Seles was gone for 27 months of the tour and came back, her biggest problem was getting time, because everyone hit harder in the couple of years she was gone. She didn't have the time to find the angles on the court that really underlined her greatness. And the same challenge will face Hingis.
Other tennis comebacks involving greats like Bjorn Borg. He tried to come back, tried to play with a wooden racket, even though men's tennis had changed a lot. It was kind of sad. He didn't win a match in his comeback after retiring about 26 years old.
It's a pity. The Bjorn thing is so different, though, from this one, because first of all, they should have let Bjorn. They weren't giving him wild card. The ATP really screwed that up. Really screwed that up, because Bjorn left the game. Then he wanted to come back. You don't give that guy you make him play like the quali. You make him play. It was insane. And when he did come back, you're right. He still had a wooden racket in his hand, and he was playing from so far behind the baseline. Already, all the other guys had moved in tighter.
Hingis' comeback begins. She will serve to start this first-round match against Vera Zvonareva. Just missing.
15. Loud, 13.
Expected to take some time, a few games for Hingis to work her way into this thing?
Well, she's got to start getting, probably. They've both got to be a little nervous. Zvonareva doesn't want to be the one to lose to old lady Hingis.
He's taking the fight to Martina in this first game, has a couple of break points. Here's the liability of that second serve. The pace is not the problem. 73 miles an hour. Zvonareva is timing it. Two errors, and we're back to deuce. Well-placed serve there, sets up the winner. So her first serve, not a huge liability in my Mary. It's just when she doesn't get it in.
Yeah, she's going to have to keep up a very healthy first serve percentage. Just move it around, change the angles and the pace, and have a very strong second shot. She knows she'll be hitting them.
Zvonareva showing the wheels.
Hingis looks fit too, doesn't she? Well, she didn't just do this on a whim. She played World Team Tennis last summer, and that whetted her appetite, and she worked hard coming into the Australian.
I dared poo-poo the demands of World Team Tennis Tour, and she told me it's tougher than you think. I don't think it quite compares to trying to play a Grand Slam.
No, but a lot of things happen in a hurry. You have to play a lot of important points. There's a lot of travel involved. You know, there's a lot of. I mean, I actually covered quite a bit of World Team Tennis last summer, and I watched Hingis play a lot of it, and she just absolutely enjoyed every bit of it. She loved sitting on the bench. She loved playing singles, doubles, mix. She was the MVP of World Team Tennis last summer. I mean, she found a nice little niche for herself.
It's long. Yeah, she loved the competition. She loved the reaction of the crowd.
Yeah, she just totally got it. She really got a kick out of it. You know, and John McEnroe was on her team, the New York Sport Times, for a couple of weeks in there, and you know they had a ball together.
But out here, she's all by herself. Fights off a couple break points, holds for 1-love lead. Her last match on this court.
And Venus in the semis, and that took so much out of her. And this match was so brutal, under such wilting heat, that after the second set, they both had to go into the locker room, and they were both laden with ice bags throughout the 10-minute changeover. Capriati finally came good on this, and that was Capriati's win. I mean, there's her dad watching on it. You know, keep in mind, Jennifer was making a comeback. Jennifer had all kinds of off-court problems.
This was tough on the body and the mind. This one, yeah.
Yeah, this was a rough one. This was 2001, and you know, Jennifer finally, you know, won her first major about 10 years after all of us thought she would. And then, of course, she won it again in 2002. It was just a remarkable effort from both of them. And Capriati finally taking that one 7-6. I mean, it was just great stuff.
Said this court had been the scene of triumph for her and also heartbreak. That was a very tough loss to take in her last match down here until tonight. Love 30.
Back then, Venus and Serena were, you know, especially Venus at the time, was dominating women's tennis, and Hingis trying to beat back-to-back sisters was such an effort, and it happened to be a particularly hot Australian summer that year.
That's why I was surprised when Hingis said she didn't feel that much had changed since that year, because the Belgians weren't really on the scene in top form. The Russian invasion hadn't yet begun. So many of the players who've competed for Grand Slam titles in the interim weren't around. So she, you know, contended that not that much has changed.
I think Hingis thought that the Williams sisters were just going to dominate the sport. And I think that's one of the reasons why she left. I think it's one of the reasons why McEnroe left, because Lendl, you know, was such a dominating physical force. And John, you know, it was hard because Becker was coming around too. And
you know,
and then Hingis, you know, but then, and I think when Hingis realized that they weren't fully committed to the game, sure, you know what, I might as well come back.
Showing the movement of the counter punching and waiting out Zvonareva for the error. couple of break points. Yeah, she admits she sees a window of opportunity here. Davenport perhaps retiring anytime now. Clijster's going to retire, she says, after 2007. Venus and Serena's results declining. She sees a chance to get back in the top 5. Hingis dictating and gets the break for a 2-love lead after fighting off a couple break points in her first service game.
We're starting to see the teeth already.
Yeah. Zvonareva wants to have a conversation with the chair about something.
Turn the music off.
There is music that Zvonareva's hearing. It's
I think it's Pat Cash's band outside. Yeah, Pat Cash and the All-Stars are. Let's go to Luke. As a matter of fact, he's on the music story.
Well, you know, imagine you're Vera, okay? You're not mentally tough anyway. You're not a mental giant. And now all of a sudden you're playing this legend. You're out in the stadium, Court Laver Arena, and now you got Pat Cash and the All-Stars, and you can hear almost every word. So
it's not just music. It's Pat Cash's bad music that you're having to listen to.
That's right.
You know what? I don't hear it anymore. I think Vera Zvonareva has effectively had Pat Cash removed from the premises.
There have been people who tried to get Cash to stop playing music and not succeeded. She did it with one brief conversation.
No, I can hear it again. And again, Zvonareva. This is what we talk about when, you know, Zvonareva shouldn't be listening. She shouldn't be hearing anything right now.
The thwack of the strings, what we hear there with a nice passing shot.
By the way, we have
you're not focusing. I mean,
we have a Cash cam that we're going to be going to.
No.
Explain to you what it is that Vera's hearing.
Long.
40-15.
Already 7 errors for Zvonareva, none yet for Hingis. Vera whacking herself in the thigh a second ago. Martina Hingis striking the ball with authority and racing to a 3-love lead in her comeback match at the Australian Open. Well, the hooded woman there is Vera Zvonareva, who's down love 3 here. She's known for emotional outbursts, no stranger to tears during her matches, but 3 games in, Mary?
Cry cam. We got a whole bunch of cameras operating tonight, and yeah, she's feeling it already. No surprise.
The good news for Vera, and she needs some right now, is that Pat Cash has been asked to stop playing his music. His band has been booted off the stage outside the stadium. A few minutes ago.
There are some people
Pat and company
who wanted Pat to play.
After a few beers out there, anything sounds good. Next thing Vera's going to complain about are the seagulls that get lodged in the rafters here. You may be able to hear those at home. They're making some noise now. It doesn't take much. A lot of aggression from Hingis. She's just taking it to her from the first point here.
She looks great. Look at that.
It's pretty clean.
Oh. She leaned into
and the swinging forehand volley winner.
Boy, welcome back.
You expect this?
Yeah.
15.
Did you?
Yeah. I thought this was a perfect first-round match for her.
You could almost see a smile on her face as she got down to swat that ball.
Yeah.
Missed that.
15, 14.
Look well wide. Error number 8. And a totally clean match from Hingis so far. 2 more break points. It's the first error of the evening for Hingis. Still has a break point. Zvonareva having to work so hard for every point, but has leveled the game at deuce.
Deuce. Advantage is Zvonareva.
That had to be nice. One of the few winners, only the third of the match for Zvonareva. Nice, easy point.
How would you rate, from what you've seen briefly in 2006, Hingis' court movement compared to the quickest players on tour? When she left, she was certainly among the quickest, best movers.
Yeah.
Still there?
Well, it's going to have to be there. I think the key for Hingis in this comeback attempt is to stay fit so that she's able to move quickly enough to chase all this power. That is absolutely key. And I think she knew that, you know, when she was losing to a couple of years ago, she just wasn't fit enough to chase down shots like that time and again. You know, she was getting hammered, and she never really enjoyed that part of it. You know, Hingis always used to say, I don't even think of myself as an athlete. I think of myself as an artist.
Players were kind of, first striking her.
Exactly.
They'd taken their best cut early in points.
And an artist needs time to create art. And she had been robbed of that utterly.
Missed that. Zvonareva on the board in the first set.
Martina Hingis is not traveling with her mom. She was such a fixture in the years that Hingis played, although a couple of times they had fallings out, and she would not be the coach, and Hingis tried a couple of other people. But she's here with her mom's partner. And it'll be interesting to see if Mom shows back up, because she lived for this stuff.
Somewhat controversial figure on the tour in her day, her mom.
I don't think she was. I don't think Melanie Molitor was controversial. She was just ever present, and she was always around. And you know, Hingis used to say, "I wish I had her drive. I wish I had her ambition." Of course, it was her mom that named Martina Hingis after Martina Navratilova. And I always thought it was pretty ironic that Hingis shows up and plays and dominates and then leaves, and the original Martina is still out there. Martina now 49 years old, playing here at the Australian in doubles again this year. And now this Hingis is back. You can't get rid of these Martinas.
You find that funny? A player named for someone else retires before they do?
Yeah.
Saw the numbers there. It's respectable on her second serve. 4 for 4. That's a surprise in the early going. Zvonareva able to tee off on that wide second serve.
13-15.
That's nicely done, and Vera Zvonareva is settling into this match a little bit now, isn't she?
Starting to impose her power a little bit.
It's absolutely key that Zvonareva keeps up her attitude. You know, you read her body language when she misses something, and you just, Hingis watches all of that. Oh, that's such a clever smash from Martina. Carving it, angling it off.
14-13.
Right, Zvonareva is back in this match, and yet looks a little droopy, taking a lot of time. Slowly walking around the court between points. Hingis holds. 4-1 in the first set as Zvonareva bounces the racket.
Something to remember, if you get aggravated on a rebound ace court, this court is made out of crushed rubber tires, so that thing's going to bounce right back up at you.
So watch your face.
Something to keep in mind. This is maybe the worst surface to get aggravated on. You catch it at the wrong angle, and the good news is that this surface is so forgiving, it's hard to crack a racket.
Yeah, but it's embarrassing if the butt end of it smacks you in the face.
Yeah, it's not good.
Zvonareva needs to rebound here. Down a break, but just down so far. takes it on the line. Hingis kind of gave up chasing it. Drops in. Last year in the slams, you can see that Zvonareva hurt at the U.S. Open, did not get to the second week in any of them.
No, she really fell away last year. Had a couple of different injuries, the worst being that ankle injury.
If you look at her results, Mary, rarely was she able to win a match after dropping the first set. Happened a couple of times, but not the greatest dig deep, come from behind player in the women's tour.
Well, it's not like she doesn't care. It's certainly not like she tanks. Sometimes it seems she cares so much that she just can't get her emotions out of the equation. And her meltdowns have been so public.
Terrific penetrating backhand from Hingis.
And then there's this one who, there's Bud Collins watching on.
Saw Bud downstairs for the match. He wasn't quite sure what to expect tonight. He was hoping Hingis would win, but not convinced she could show this kind of form early. It's well played from Zvonareva.
14-15.
She's not really out of this set. She's only down a break. She got a point for 2-4. But you just don't get the feeling she's into it yet.
She's going to have to pay more attention, take greater care with her serves, Zvonareva, because Hingis is smart enough to attack it. She's only serving at 40%, Vera. She's already been broken once, as you've said, so Hingis is making her shake. She takes some pressure off her own serving. That's really sweet.
A little lucky there, too, with the net cord. Back to deuce.
Deuce.
You can tell Zvonareva not able to read the direction of that shot at all.
She might challenge that one. It looked like she might have just missed it wide.
Yep.
But again, Hingis is looking to attack those serves.
See what Shot Spot says. Nope. Correct. Best baseline duel of the match so far. It goes to Hingis. That's what she missed right there, huh? In there competing in a big stadium and great counterpunching. That's a familiar style. Finally, a first serve from Zvonareva, who's under 40% for the set. Needed that one.
Zvonareva taking a lot of time. She already looks so. She gets overheated looking very early in all her matches. She always gets flushed up. You know, this is a night match. It's not hot out there, really.
Nope.
She always kind of looks like, you know, there should be smoke coming off the top of her head.
Now, she is struggling for survival in this first set, already down a break and having to work for every point. And now, Hingis, a break point to go up 5-1.
Yeah, she needed this game, and obviously she's feeling the pressure from knowing that.
There's the break for a 5-1 lead, and Zvonareva hammers that ball down into the court. She probably feels like everything is against her now. Hingis benefiting from a little net court in that rally that threw off her timing again.
Oh, she's getting outplayed, though, Chris, and she knows it. She's just getting outclassed in this first set. Things could change. But right now, Martina Hingis fully deserves the lead she's enjoying. And isn't it nice to see, you know, someone who's out there actually thinking? You can see the wheels spinning. There's real cognition out there. Keeping it so clean. 3 times the winners to errors. How often do you see that these days in women's tennis?
Now 15.
Now, you're right. So many of the players adopt that first strike mentality. Sometimes go for the winner when it's not the smart play. Those buzzards circling above for Zvonareva.
The big question mark was how Hingis would serve. Well, she's serving at 73%. She hasn't been broken.
Forehand from Zvonareva to get back to 30-all. Vera has not been able to make her pay for the second serve, which is been in the middle 70 miles per hour, the way Anna hammered away on it in Sydney a week ago. Nice approach, sets up set point for Martina Hingis. Welcome back. 35-minute first set. Hingis, an emphatic style over the 30th seed in this tournament. Second set to come. Back live in Melbourne after this. Australia's second biggest city, sports mad Melbourne. They wait all year for the Australian Open. More than 500,000 folks will attend it this year. Vera Zvonareva's attendance may amount to one more set unless she can get it together. 6-1 to Hingis. She did get victimized by a bad line call in the last point on set point for Hingis. He was long over the baseline as she complained to the chair afterward. But that's not the story of the first set. She's going to have to get it together, Mary.
Well, you can see she's fighting back tears. And there's reason for her to be so sad. She's only serving at 44%, and she's already been broken twice. She's playing an in-form Martina Hingis, who's playing such a clean match.
She had some early break points in the first service game for Hingis. Wasn't able to cash them in. She will serve to begin the second set.
It's hard, Chris, and it's inexplicable to me why Vera Zvonareva continues. I mean, for years now, we see her break down in the middle of her matches. She obviously needs some off-court work on that department. You know, she's got to stop doing that. She's got to.
Breaking down, you mean shedding tears? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can't, you know, and it happens. It can happen so quickly. You know, she gets so down so quickly in her matches. And you know, she's blinking back tears in the middle of rallies sometimes, and this is what she's been like on the last couple of changeovers.
We've seen her, though, in previous matches, go have a good cry in the changeover, come back out, and actually play okay, and even win some matches.
You're just not supposed to behave like that. You're not supposed to perform that way. I don't understand why it's not being addressed.
With the sports psychologist?
Yeah. With somebody who can convince her she's got to maintain some positive body language. You know, when Martina first came on the tour, and I got such a kick out of Hingis because she was so clever out there, and she so enjoyed it, and she was this smiling assassin, and I started calling her Chucky, you know, the famous wooden doll from those scary movies, who would, you know, be smiling away as, you know, the little boys, as he threw the little boy's babysitter down a flight of stairs. I mean, that's. Talk about the difference in body language between two players. It's these two.
Yeah, Hingis looks like a pretty sinister figure right now from Zvonareva's point of view. A couple of early break points, and what would be a real problem. You can tell she's fighting her emotions right now. I mean, you said it. No one wants to be, kind of in jest, the player to lose to, you know, old woman Hingis, but
she's fighting herself too, Zvonareva.
I mean, there's no disgrace in losing to an on-form Hingis who's playing like this. I mean, the break to start the second set. Martina Hingis rolling along. First set, Zvonareva had a couple of looks. Hingis' first service game, she was able to save the break points and then get total control.
And again, Hingis is not being robbed of time to set up her shots, to move the ball around. She has time to think, and when she has time to think, great things can happen for her. And again, I anticipate that Hingis will get through this match. Once the pace changes, once she plays against players who have more game, and again, Justine Arden beat her handily last week in the tune-up tournament. She'll have to change things up, Hingis. She won't have the kind of time that she's enjoying right now. And then it'll be interesting to see how she tries to make her adjustments. But when she left the game, Hingis, so often we saw her, dropping her serve and playing defense and not getting the chance to find all the great angles of the court and impose herself.
Now she maintains control of this match. We'll talk about her potential road ahead. She's in a quarter of the draw that is not super imposing.
And she's not in that rotten top half of the women's draw, where six current and former number ones existed.
It's been the upset half of the draw so far, with Venus and Dementieva going out. The story in this half of the draw was the health of Kim Clijsters, who wasn't troubled at all with her hip or her Korean opponent. This is the draw, the top half loaded with those champions, Mary, you talked about.
Right, and the thing is, in the bottom half, there's a couple of big hitters in there. Nicole Vidasova, surely. And Mary Pierce, although Hingis has beaten Pierce twice at the Australian Open alone. She's played Natalie Deshie of France, Hingis, and Deshie doesn't have an overpowering game, and Mauresmo doesn't have an overpowering game. She's got a lot of variety, though. So, this isn't all about, a sweet little comeback story. Zvonareva needs a little time to recover.
Not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but it would be a pretty interesting third-round match. Mary Pierce.
Well,
in the way of Hingis.
The way Pierce is playing, I like Pierce in that one. Mary's playing just tremendous tennis. And let's face it, her story is a comeback in a lot of ways. Well, Hingis has had such great success at the Australian, but nobody won it more than this woman right here. Margaret Court won it 11 times in singles alone, as well as doubles and mixed.
Enjoying the ice cream cone there.
Scarfing it down, isn't she?
We always catch her at the bad moment.
Yeah, we do.
And there's the first ace for Hingis.
There we are.
It was her fastest serve of the match at 108 miles per hour.
She's not going to get much faster than that. I mean, it wasn't the pace necessarily that beat Zvonareva there. She just found a great part of the service box.
That one's 75 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Zvonareva had a little bit of an opening in that service game, lets it slip away. Too low.
Hingis leads 2 games.
The smash shows no rust. Every smash she has hit tonight has just been perfect.
Something about the Swiss, you know, Federer, Hingis, you just know you're in good hands with them. You know, they're just they have such a great sense of the game and the court, and they make smart and pretty decisions out there. They find their range and they stay within it. They show creativity and art, and it's just something about those Swiss.
You can extend that to Stanislaus Wawrinka?
Oh, sure.
Or Michael Lammer?
Oh, right.
Lost to Roddick last night.
Right in that conversation.
But Switzerland, not an enormous country by European standards, to have, you know, one of the greatest players of the men's game ever, Roger Federer, and one of the great women's champions, Martina Hingis, is pretty special.
Pretty good effort.
Mark Rosset, somewhere in there. I mean, a lot more populous countries like Germany and France and England would love to have one champion on either side.
But England?
Well, yeah.
I mean, Germany has had him.
Right, but
France has
not
had
lately.
No, not lately. Not since Steffi and Boris. Although it's very nice to watch Tommy Haas playing the kind of tennis he's been playing of late.
Haas destroying Richard Gasquet in straight sets, a dangerous floater in the men's draw. A few more errors now off the Hingis record. Zvonareva on the board, but still down a break in the second set and down a set. Back live, Rod Laver Arena, packed. It's Margaret Court Arena in front of it to the left, where they have another night matches scheduled for the first time, side by side. Primetime tennis down under. That's a great court. That's Margaret Court Arena, just in the shadow of Ron Laver, and they're involved in a fifth set right now. Fernando Gonzalez of Chile and American Alex Bogomolov. Bogomolov trying to join his wife, Ashley Harkleroad, in the second round. She's up next for Maria Sharapova. And that won't be a love fest, that match, I'm told. Take that for what it's worth. Yeah.
What do you know?
They don't like each other.
Yeah. Well, they're, you
Dads don't like each other. Players don't like each other.
Beautiful. It's our night match tomorrow night. Maria Sharapova and Ashley Harkleroad. Well, they're like, you know, she's part of the cutie pie brigade, Harkleroad. There was pictures of her pre-Wimbledon, and you know.
Now she's a married woman there. Can you still be a cutie pie in the brigade?
Sure.
Okay. Hingis untroubled in this service game. The Sharapova camp told me Maria will be extra motivated for that because they don't like each other.
Bad blood.
There's your opening comment tomorrow night. Are you ready?
That was an awful game by Zvonareva.
Yeah.
Just a god-awful game. It looked like she was trying to work her way back into the second set. And then she just, it's just hard to understand. And Hingis has already broken her 3 times, and you can see from her court positioning how quickly she's taking those weaker second serves and immediately attacking her opponent's serve, because she knows, again, that she's so smart anyway, but she knows that her serve will always be getting attacked. And it's not, well, she's got her first serve percentage slightly up now, Zvonareva, but it's still below 50.
And that aggressive return point, one reason why Zvonareva is only winning about 1/3 of her points on second serve. Hmm.
15.
More mumbling and grumbling as she looks at the baseline there. Let's go to Luke Jensen courtside.
Hey, Chris, what I see down here is really the battle of 2 different players, 2 different worlds. I mean, I was just at the Super National in Tucson, Arizona, in the Copper Bowl of 12s and 14s, boys and girls, and I saw a ton of that from Vera. I mean, Vera's just going crazy. Her brains are falling out of her head. She's not thinking on the court at all. Where Hingis is even playing the conditions. From Vera's side, she's got the wind at her back, just a slight breeze. And Hingis is driving the ball against the wind and then looping the ball a little bit with the wind to gain the advantage, then attack. So she's playing with her brains. Now Hingis really is on top of it. Look at that dropper.
By the way, for those of you who are wondering, Luke Jensen bet on SC to win the National College Football Championships, and, well, that's why he's got a shaved head.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah, just thought I'd bring that up.
Yeah,
you know, I've been getting a lot of questions about your new look.
The
Lex Luthor look.
A lot of questions.
Thought we should, you know, throw that down.
We got Vince Young to blame for that, I guess. Okay.
4th and 5. Yes, 4th and 5.
That's what we get, these updates from Luke. What's going on out there? It's 4th and 5. It's 4th and no matter where.
Let's see how close she can creep on this second serve. Break point. Yeah. Well, another break. And Martina Hingis, as Zvonareva bounces her frame on the court once again, rolling toward round 2. Impressive fashion. And your opponent is about cooked. Back live, Martina Hingis will serve up a couple of breaks now in a set on Vera Zvonareva, and if she can swat aside, albeit not the strongest mental force on the women's tour, but a seed nonetheless in routine fashion, I mean, you have to begin perhaps reassessing how quickly she can climb back near the top.
Well, she knows she's got to give herself time, Chris. She's not necessarily expecting great things to happen right away, and that's fair enough. But the good news is if she can stay fit, Hingis, she'll play a lot, which is not true of almost every other woman on the WTA Tour. And why Hingis stayed #1 long after she was winning majors, just because she played so much. She loved playing tennis. She played more tournaments for a top 10 player than anyone I can really remember, and that's what kept her ranking up. It looked inflated. But you take someone like Hingis.
What about the foot injury? Did it ultimately have anything to do with the foot injury that caused her retirement?
You know, she claims that the foot injury was because of the shoes she was wearing. And in fact, she was trying to sue her shoe company for $40 million. And that thing was going back and forth for a couple of years.
eventually tossed out.
I guess so. I guess I've heard it was dismissed. It was a Sergio Tacchini was a shoe company. It's dismissed when it was in Italy, the case, and then it was appealed to New York, and they tossed it too.
Yuck.
She's wearing different clothing now, different shoes now, and again, I love the idea that Hingis will play a lot. I wish more players played a lot.
That'll float wide, 5-1, and this looks like nothing short of torture right now for Zvonareva. She's just a game away from getting back to the locker room, but she's having no fun tonight.
Hingis leads 5 games.
And then there's Chucky. Exactly.
She sticks the knife in.
I want to be your friend. Yeah, sure you do, Chucky.
Does she know you call her Chuck?
Oh, she was made aware of. I'm not sure if she knows that I'm the author of it. Yeah, well, once it was explained to her, I think she took some delight in it.
That's such a pretty stroke. That inside-out forehand that she hits, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
13-15.
So clean. Not quite as clean in the second set for Hingis. More errors than winners, but she hadn't had to play that well as Zvonareva unravels. Hingis will serve for the second round when we come back. Well, if we came on the air with lots of questions about how Martina Hingis might look in her first Grand Slam match of the comeback, some of them have been answered. Perhaps, you know, Zvonareva an accomplice in all this with the inability to kind of keep herself together, but Hingis nonetheless terrific ball striking and really hadn't been made to pay for that second serve.
She hasn't been broken. She's about 80% at net. She's serving over 60. She's got more winners than errors. Again, it's just such a pleasure watching a women's match with healthy numbers, where the winner, you know, is to overcome so many errors.
Was pretty. Zvonareva not getting to the dropper. You didn't like Serena's 45 unforced errors in a 3-set win?
Or Venus's 65 in a 3-set loss. No.
It's almost over, Vera. Hold on. Hingis 2 points away from her first victory at a Grand Slam in 3 years and 4 months. Chucky to the comeback. Is that what's unfolding here?
That's
the Australian Open, Mary?
That's what we're watching. Chucky part 2, and so far so good.
Zvonareva managing her first smile of the evening as they shake hands, but all smiles for Hingis. She missed this. The roar of a crowd on a big tennis stage. Some great victories on this court, but it's been a few years. And now she's back and already looking ahead of the second round. And if she keeps winning, she's going to keep playing on these big courts.
Oh, yeah. She's a big story, and deservedly so. Now, we've been talking so much about how the men's field is missing some key players. Marat Safin, the defending champion, among them Agassi as well, Nadal. All the top women are here, and Hingis wanted back in.
Yeah.
It's a dream for this tournament, but everybody's here, including this 3-time champion.
And I think before this match, she was viewed mainly as a nice story, a little bit of a sideshow more than a serious contender. Have you reevaluated that, or did you ever believe she was a serious contender?
Well, I don't think she's a contender for the title. No. But, you know, again, I watched her play last summer, Chris, and I know how much she wanted to come back and not come back as a sideshow. And that's she doesn't want to be parsley to this thing. You know, she wanted to be the, and you could just tell. I watched her earlier in the week practicing. She's obviously very fit. She's obviously, you know, sculpted her body, worked on her fitness so she can really make something happen here. I think she's gotten a very favorable draw, and if things go her way, she might even get out of this first week, and it would be a great story.
It would be. Her strengths on display tonight, her court movement, her kind of tactics, and composing a point, and you know, her liabilities, second serve, perhaps lack of power, not at all a factor in this match tonight, but again, that could change down the line. Emma Lane of Finland is her second round opponent. What do you know about Emma?
Not much. I know a lot more about Martina.
Yeah, if she gets past Emma Lane, perhaps the powerful Mary Pierce in the third round. That would be an interesting match. And you're right, it would be a great story if Martina Hingis can continue this comeback down under. 6-1 and 6-2 over 30th seed Vera Zvonareva. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Mary Curler with our entire tennis team. I'm Chris Fowler. So long for now from Down Under. From ESPN2, the Grand Slam Network.
Next on Bass Center, 40,000 anglers from across the globe are down to the final 6. The Bass Federation Championship makes its final cut for bass fishing's biggest event, the Bassmaster Classic. You think you've got a good fishing story? Wait till you hear the fishtail of coaching legend Bob Knight. Plus, when it's time to cut bait, Byron's got a tip that could save you a lot of time and money.